Hello and welcome to the Sounds of Salisbury podcast. I'm Alex.
I'm Ellen.
And we're here to bring you the sounds of the Salisbury music scene.
And the voices of the community.
Yay! Did that manage to do that in the most upbeat and positive way manageable? Because we are hanging. The evils of drink, people.
We went to a wedding reception yesterday and
That's great.
it was really lovely.
Yep.
The drinks were flowing. We were on the dance floor dancing.
Nobody needs to see that.
No one needs to see that. But they did because we were there doing it.
Yeah.
And so I think I went to bed at about 2:00 this morning. And we're out this afternoon, so we had to get up and do this.
It's not going to be the usual. It's going to be a little bit calmer today, I think. We're just going to ease things in. We'll talk about our guest. We'll talk about our guest now because that leads into the top 10. So you come up with a brilliant top 10, I presume, because I haven't got a clue what you've done. So we'll just have to see how it goes. But our guest is a brilliant singer, songwriter, promoter from Andover in Hampshire, and called James Stretch. And we've had a wonderful chat with him. He's not live like we would normally do. So we recorded that before being heard over, which is always a good thing. Oh dear. So you'll catch up with James in a little while, and he'll be talking all things music, his kind of journey to where he is now as far as his music and everything that he's doing. And and lots of things that they've got going on in the Andover music scene this summer and throughout. So.
Yeah, we've called this episode Stretch. We were trying to come up with ideas for the name of this episode of the podcast, and every idea we come up with, we were like, well, that's a bit of a stretch. That doesn't really work. And then we realized we've said the word stretch so many times whilst trying to come up with an idea of the name for the podcast with James Stretch. It just was a no-brainer, so we've called it Stretch.
It makes sense, doesn't it, really?
And we generally stretch things to fit.
Yeah, like this intro, for example.
Yeah, that's enough stretching. Let's get on to the top 10, which I have done this week.
The top 10.
I'm not sure I can read. This could be funny.
We're just going to blag this. It's fine. If anyone has got any favorite hangover cures, let us know. Drop us a message or comment on when you see this video, because not that we're going to need it now, because obviously we've got our own and we'll do that once we've done this, but it'd be interesting to find out what everybody else says, and maybe we could talk about that on another podcast. Just random things, people. Random things. Right. Speaking of random.
Right.
What are we doing?
Yeah. This week's top 10. I've taken inspiration from James, what he does. So he organizes events and festivals and all sorts of things. So I thought, okay, I'm going to base my top 10 on events and festivals. So I've looked at the world's, I would say, funniest, weirdest, peculiar top 10 events / festivals that happen. And yes, get ready.
All right. Okay. Well, let's just go straight for it then. So it's this one.
Yep. So at number 10, we have the Kanemaru Matsuri in Japan, which is, it's basically with a phallus as the central theme for the event.
I honestly thought I've really had a lot to drink, because that looks like...
Yeah, it honors the male sexual organ with decorations of candy, toys, clothing, and carved vegetables, which I'm not entirely sure what they would...
Where is this?
This is in... You're going to make me say it again. Thank you. Kanemaru Matsuri in Japan.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's a weird one. If that's number 10, I worry about what the rest of these is going to be.
I thought I'd start strong.
Yeah. All right. There's some inspiration for you, James. Excellent.
Okay. Then at number 9, we have the Cheese Rolling Festival in England.
Right. Now, this is one I know about, so that's cool. I know because we've watched a documentary on this, haven't we?
We have.
It's called We Are the Champions, and it's on Netflix. and it's lots of different like episodes about weird competitions, and this was our favorite. We watched about 4, I think. This was our favorite.
Yeah, I loved it. Yeah, and it's a lot of families have generation after generation taken part in this cheese rolling festival, and yeah, they take it very seriously. Do a lot of training. It's just crazy. So this is locals and tourists. They travel to Cooper's Hill, situated in Gloucestershire. It's a most unique competition where participants launch themselves down a hill chasing a 9-pound round cheese, and the first person to cross the finish line is the winner, and they get the cheese. I'm not sure if I'd want the cheese after it's rolling down a muddy hill, but yeah. Originally, when they started the competition, it was whoever caught the cheese, but then they realized that the cheese was so fast that they decided, well, whoever just crosses the finish line first will get the cheese.
It is just the most bonkers thing. I highly recommend that that documentary. It's really good. And maybe we'll have to go to that one day.
I think we should. I think I'd be a bit scared.
Well, we're not taking part
because I don't want to see broken legs and things.
Scary.
Scary.
Yeah, we'll have to do that, I reckon.
Yeah.
Not do it, but go.
Go
Number 8.
Number 8
on your weird list.
It's the World Toe Wrestling Championship in Ashbourne.
Ashbourne, that's Ashbourne, Kent. So this is an English thing.
It is, yeah. It is, yeah.
See, I just, yeah, okay. This is just weird.
Yeah, well, I couldn't have the world's most unusual festivals in the world without mentioning the Toe Wrestling Championship. So it welcomes the best toe wrestlers from all over the world. They battle against each other for the title. The sport involves 2 opponents who lock feet in the attempt to pin the other's foot down in the least time possible. So it's similar to arm wrestling, but with your toes.
Okay, so I mean, I'm a big wrestling fan, but this is a bit too much.
Is it too much for you?
It's a bit too much. Yeah. Do they have like their own theme songs as they come in, like wrestlers? Like, well, it's the big toe.
I don't know, maybe. If they don't, they might now.
I will totally get my coats. They should. I reckon there's loads of different wrestling themes that can be transposed onto the toe wrestling circuit and just changed up to be. I'm going to start a playlist and change them up, I think.
Okay. I'll leave you with that one.
That is truly weird. Very, very odd. Okay,
number
7.
Let's go to number 7. It's the Monkey Buffet Festival in Thailand.
Okay.
And before you start considering how a monkey would taste, it's a buffet for the monkeys. You don't eat the monkeys. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
The local monkey population of around 2,000 to 3,000 pounds pounds. Why am I talking money? Hangover. Talking money. It's my job I look at numbers and I just put a pound sign in front of it. In Bangkok. Anyway, so it's a feast of 4,000 kilograms of fruit, vegetables, cakes, and candies, and it happens every November.
Wow. Yeah, as soon as you said monkey buffet, I just thought of Indiana Jones, where they have to eat monkey brains.
Oh, monkey brains.
Out the skull. That's where I was going. That's really cool. It's different.
It's different. Yeah, it started by a local businessman. He thought it would be a unique way to drive tourism to that part of Thailand, and it worked.
Boom.
Yeah.
Okay. From monkey buffets to
a baby jumping festival. So this is in Spain. It's a festival that takes place to celebrate the Catholic feast of Corpus Christi. And so people dress up as devils. They wear red and yellow suits, and they hold whips and oversized castanets, and they jump over babies who lie on a mattress in the street. And you're lost for words.
Bring back the toe wrestling. That's weird. I mean, the premise, I kind of understand the whole. I like that, the idea of like warding off demons by
By
in that
jumping over babies.
Well, but maybe not jumping over babies. But I mean, I think that's a thing throughout the world. There's lots of things like that. But yeah, jumping over babies to do it is a little weird.
Yeah. Well, it's been going to the 1600s, so it's an old tradition.
Okay.
Yeah, it's to ensure safe passage through life for the babies.
So there are crazy people way back.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Man, I think health and safety would probably be an issue for James if he was trying to organise something like that in Andover. But who knows? All right, number
5 is the Chow Chong Bun Festival in Hong Kong.
Okay.
So the Bun Festival is the biggest and busiest event in I don't know how you say that. I don't speak
Chung Chao.
Yes. So basically, there's a big pole full of buns, and they scramble up in a competition to collect the most buns.
Those 3 things. That's the pole, and it's just buns all around it.
Yeah, they're stuck buns. People climb up it and collect the buns.
Well, that's a hangover cure. That is.
Climbing.
Oh,
yeah. The thing is, you'd get to the first row and you'd just start eating the buns, wouldn't you? You'd be like, yeah, I'm a bit peckish now.
I'd be Homer Simpson in that. Big time. Well,
they're not donuts.
But it's all good. Okay. From buns to
Nakasumo in Japan, which is it's a competition where sumo wrestlers make babies cry. It's a it's a 400-year-old tradition where you get to witness an entire event based on grown men's ability to make babies cry.
I generally just have to say hello to them. That's 400 years.
400 years old.
Well.
Yeah.
Just like the Spanish baby one. So there was clearly somebody that just didn't like babies back in the day. Just thought, what can we do to?
Well, no, one's to protect them from evil. I'm not quite sure.
Put
this
them in
one
harm's way as well.
Okay, so the reason again is to ward off evil spirits, and strong, loud cry implies the child will grow strong and healthy.
Okay, so there's method in their madness.
There's reasoning behind it.
But it's madness.
But it's yes. Hold my baby and make my baby cry.
Okay. Number where are we at? 3?
Number 3 is International Hair Freezing Contest in Canada. I'll leave you with that thought for a minute, Alex. Yeah. Yep. In Canada, they have an international hair freezing contest. It's a fun way, apparently, to celebrate the winter.
Okay.
It occurs every February. Participants in the contest dunk their heads in hot water of the pool and then create frosty hairdos by shaping their locks as it freezes in the cold air above. Temperatures in the area reach below minus 30 degrees Celsius or minus 22 degrees Fahrenheit at the time of the contest. Winners receive a small cash prize, and I can't think it'd be very good for your hair.
And 2 weeks off with pneumonia. I mean, you could probably get away with that in the Anton Lakes in Andover, I reckon. That's weird. I mean, they look pretty spectacular. Got like his beard's all frozen as well. It's that's insane. I mean,
I think it'd be quite cool to see what they do.
Yeah.
I'm going to have to Google some pictures of that just to see what they did with their hair whilst it was freezing.
Yeah, I don't think I sort of.
You haven't got the tools, no.
That is very, very polite, Ellen. Thank you so much.
You're very welcome.
That's what's happening. Okay, number 2. I mean, these have all been very, very weird, and we're getting to the last 2, so these should be like, whoa. Number 2.
Number 2. So in Florida, they have an underwater music festival. Yep. Okay. So located in Florida Keys, the United States' only living barrier reef, they hold an underwater music festival. It's been running for about 31 years. The local radio station sponsors the event to promote environmental sustainability and responsible diving as they play their sea-themed music underwater through speakers that are suspended under boats situated above the reef. Yep. So the participants are encouraged to wear costumes and play underwater instruments to compete for prizes.
Is that what's? Yeah. So she's
yes,
kind of like blowing into sort of like some sort of instrument there.
Yeah, look, an underwater trumpet, I would say, shaped like a fish.
You know, I don't get it.
I can imagine throwing some shapes underwater.
Well, yeah,
That'd be quite fun.
But I'm just, yeah, I
know.
I'm honestly, that one has left me pretty speechless. Come on, you know, we've all had a bath with a speaker kind of next to us, and then as soon as you put your head underwater, you know, you can't really hear it properly. I just think surely a better way to promote sustainability of the barrier reef is to stay away from the barrier reef. Surely that's, you know, you say that to the Australians and the Great Barrier Reef, they'd be like, don't be daft, stay away from it.
Just leave it alone.
Wait. And well, I mean, I'm kicking off at number 2.
Wow.
Lord only knows what number 1's going to do.
Number 1, I have to say, when I show you and tell you, you're going to want to go. We're going to this next one.
Oh
yes.
Okay, here
indeed.
we go then. Number 1.
Number 1 is an air guitar championship in Finland.
In Finland.
In Finland. I know, it gets better.
Ellen is fluent in Finnish.
Yes, I am.
So we're off. See you later, people. Enjoy.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay,
Yep.
air guitar.
Yes.
We've all done a bit of that, so that's fine. That's easy. Surely.
I'm great at air guitar. You say it's easy, but
Must be.
they all look very talented at the air guitar. Yeah. So it's held annually in Finland since 1996 as part of the Yulu Music Festival.
Okay.
It started as a joke, and it's turned out to a serious draw for the event. Participants must play air guitar on stage in 2 rounds, with each lasting at least 1 minute. One song is chosen by the participant, and the other is chosen by the organizer. They must play air guitar only. You're not allowed to play drums. You're not allowed to play the piano, etc. And you get scored out of 6. The ideology behind the event is a simple one. Wars would end and all bad things would go away if everyone just played air guitar.
I mean,
that's a message right there.
Number 1, we've all done it. I'm sure we've all done a bit of air guitar in our time. Number 2, it's the easiest instrument to learn. You know, let's be. I go, and you know, air piano. Many people piano, air drums.
Oh, I air piano a lot when I listen to Elton John.
Okay.
Yeah, you got air piano to Elton John.
I was going to say people probably air drum to that Phil Collins.
Air drum, yeah.
Well, that sounded like EastEnders, to be honest. So people could air drum to that. Air guitar. Right, okay. We're going to definitely check out the Oulu Music Video Festival in Finland.
I'm Googling it.
We're doing it.
Going.
Well, that was brilliant. I loved that.
Thank you.
We've given you some seriously good... We've given you some ideas.
Definitely.
What you could bring to Andover maybe next summer, because you've already organised everything that's going on. There we go. That's incredible.
Any more ideas you want, James, please just, give me a call.
Just shout. And there we have it. That is your top 10 weird and wonderful festival kind of things that are very, very odd that they can bring to Andover. Sorry, Andover. Right.
Thank you. Right, let's get to the serious stuff, shall we?
Let's do it.
Yeah. Let's go to James.
All right. Here we go. James, welcome to the Sounds of Salisbury podcast.
How you doing, guys? You all right?
We are good, man.
It's
wonderful.
Do you know what? Sorry to interrupt. Looking at you guys with all the stuff you've got behind you, you know when you watch Premier League football on a Sunday and they interview the manager afterwards, you need some local corporate sponsors on there. So local businesses of Salisbury, if you are watching, please.
Yeah, we can put the little banners on the tapes.
Yeah, I think you could do with a bit of that behind you. How you doing, guys?
We are good, man. We actually made these for our wedding festival that never happened. So we've actually got names of the bands.
Sad story.
I know it is, but we've got names of the bands like written on some of them.
You had a lot of bands for your wedding.
No.
We've got like a Bottle of Dog there. We've got one with Solar Bird on it and Luisi and Gypsy Jukebox and all sorts.
Nick's a good lad and Bex. Yeah.
Oh, I love them.
That's what it is it? It's a good idea.
Yeah.
It's the tape walls from what was going to be our acoustic stage for our wedding festival.
So what happened with that? Was it because of COVID?
Mate, yeah.
Yeah.
But hey ho.
Hey ho. Anyway, we're here. We're still alive.
We are, man. Yeah, we are surprisingly still alive. Anywho, you are like absolutely blossoming at the moment as far as music in the Andover scene is concerned. But I want people to know about your beginnings in music. So how did you get into music and start playing?
Okay, right. So when I was a kid, I was thinking about this the other day. I would listen to Bon Jovi, Slippery When Wet, when I was about 8 years old, with a Ruckanor tennis racket my nan bought me, and a dressing gown belt, and that would go round me. And I could always remember lyrics for songs. And I bought my first electric guitar when I was about 12. Had lessons off a really good guy called John Van Gowler, who was a tour guy. Did what most 12-year-olds do, played it for like 6 months and thought, I don't like this, it makes my fingers hurt, and I've had enough of trying to play Mull of Kintyre or whatever else was in the book. And I put it down and I'd sort of sporadically play it. When I was 17, I don't mind it, I got in a lot of trouble and I ended up, I'd be a useless criminal, basically. I went to a young offenders institute. And my behaviour was good enough that they had a knackered old classical guitar on the education block. And because they thought, obviously, I wasn't going to lynch myself in my cell or wrap it around someone's head, they let me have it. So I get books sent in and open university, all sorts of stuff. So the first gig I actually properly did was out of probably the east-facing window of G Wing. And then so when I came out, and I wasn't in there a long time, but when I came out, my nan bought me an acoustic guitar for my 18th birthday. I went and worked for Bristol Evening Post, and I did media sales and that, and I got into ACM on their course. And by that point, I was learning a lot of chords and stuff. But when you get your Oasis chord songbook and that, and you look at bar chords and you're allergic to them and you don't want to play them, and that developed me as a rhythm guitarist, because I was always, I think because of playing golf and playing tennis, I always had the hand-eye coordination thing pretty down and the timing. So that was it really. I went to ACM, and all through that course, I went in there thinking, oh yeah, I'm a good guitar. I mean, there are guitarists and there are really good guitarists, who are. And I went in there thinking, yeah, I'm the dog's doodahs. And you see Guthrie Govan do things that no left hand should ever be able to do. And I was looking at people like that, like they just invented fire. And I thought, bloody hell, I'm not as good as I thought I was. But I was just playing and playing and playing for like 5 or 6 hours a day. And I was never like a technical lead guitarist like people like Drew Lowe in Andover session tours and that. But I always had that sense of rhythm and knowledge of theory and flavours of chords.
Yeah.
So anyway, so I'm now 24. I had a writing and a publishing arrangement. I was always better at the songwriting than I ever was at the singing part of it. So I was doing that, and then I went to work on yachts for like 10 years and in the super yacht industry. And when lockdown happened, I thought, do you know what? I've always played in function bands or, pub bands and things like that. And I signed another deal for some publishing, and I picked up a guitar again. I really started playing again in lockdown. So it's funny in a way that it's gone full circle from young offenders to lockdown, just minus the occasional violent offender around you, So and I really got into it again, and piano. And when I moved to Andover, it was to write and to record an album. And really, I would say now at 45, I'm probably more prolific now gigging in terms of it being my full main focus than at any other point. But I had to do all the super yacht thing to, just to make money and all the rest of it. But now I'm probably poorer than I've ever been, but I'm certainly happier than I've ever been. And I've certainly, in terms of my playing and where it's at, I'm certainly a lot more understanding. I've got a greater understanding of the guitar as an instrument and theory and, flavor. You'd look at a book when you first started and you see like an E7 sharp 9 and you think, oh, what the fuck's that? It's that's the first swear word. Sorry. And now you think, because your scales and your theory. And I'm a big believer that you don't have to be a guitarist. It's great when guitarists can sweep, pick, and arpeggios, and they know Mixolydian and Dorian modes and all that. It's fantastic. But really, anyone I teach guitar now, I teach them a theory understanding of, right, play a C, now play it in 3 other places on the neck, and unlock it. It's called like a caged system of playing.
Yeah. And
once you know all those notes on each string, it suddenly turns it into a completely different instrument. Because I think if you're starting guitar, I think a lot of people see a C chord and they think, well, that's just a C chord there. They don't realize slide it up to it's a D, and so it's kind of theory. I think is the biggest thing that has always been on my side, to have a greater understanding of where I'm at guitar wise, and alternate tunings and influences as well. But yeah, it's certainly the thing that makes me happiest and I put more of my energy into than anything, definitely. And some people paint, some people cook, some people do this or that for it, but that's just my thing, I guess. So there you go.
I love that. You mentioned about the yachting. It's a crazy turn, but how has that influenced your writing and your music in general? Because obviously you've been all around the world with kind of this, and also just performing.
How I got onto yachts, I was working in Gran Canaria, and we just finished a hotel contract. Where hotels fly you out to play as their resident bar, and I don't know if you know about this. What they do is they fly you out, they pay you a pittance, they pay you about like €500 a week and give you some grotty accommodation. Like, it's almost like budget. It's like little cruise ship, basically. So they give you that, and you're in some hellhole in like Mas Palomas, where I was in Gran Canaria. And I met, what they do is, so how old was I? I was 26, and I met a yacht crew. They have this thing called the Ark Rally every year, where they sail almost like as a collaborative fleet of boat owners from Gran Canaria to St. Lucia, was this one. I met this yacht crew in a bar who were from Vancouver, and they were all old boys. They were all been musicians in their 20s, and one was a captain, but one of their crew had to go home. So I met them. I was playing in this bar, and I just got talking to them and said, hey, you'd be great to come on. And I thought, do you know, it's a chance to sail the Atlantic. Have you ever been on a yacht before? I blagged it. I said, oh yeah. I'm Captain fucking Birdseye, So anyway, so we get on this yacht, and all I had to my name was €700, a couple of Fender Telecasters, an acoustic, and my Marshall amp, not really knowing what was across the other side, but just to say you'd sailed across the Atlantic. And this was like a 25-meter it's on the bottom end of a super yacht. A super yacht's
Yeah.
termed over 25 meters. On day 7, one of the forestays, they have these wires that support the mast down to the deck. One of them snaps with the sail out, and it sets off this chain reaction of destruction around the boat. So on day 7, the mast has snapped in the middle of the Atlantic. It's a bit like the Poseidon adventure, you know, when the boat turns upside down and they've got to get from the top of it to the bottom. And the captain gave me an angle guide. He said, Stretch, just go and cut away anything you can, rigging wise. And we did the other half of the trip with half a mast, and we proper Robinson Crusoe'd it on this multi-million-pound bit of kit. Wow. We're water skiing around the Atlantic the day before. If you go on YouTube and type Scotty water ski, you'll find a video of us. And now I'm finding out there's actually great whites. I'm looking back on it thinking, oh, there's no way I'll do that now. But that was a point that was a turning point for me, because I was stuck out in Antigua, and I would day work on these yachts, and they very quickly realised I was always quite good. And I think this was from the Evening Post and selling adverts, and I could go to customs if they wanted a part, and I'd take like a box of cigars and a bottle of rum and come back pissed with whichever part it was meant to, they were trying to get for the 3 weeks beforehand. So I'd just spend like days day working yachts, and then evenings gigging on them for charter guests, and then gigging in local bars. And then, because when you go into a country back then, you had like a 6-month stamp on your passport. So the super yachting, really, it was music that led me into it. Yeah. And it's music that's kind of taken me out of it. So it's a good entry and exit strategy, really. But it's a fantastic industry. It's really, you know, it's very, very interesting, the different people and different suppliers you meet. And it does open your eyes to the divide of wealth on the planet. And, you know, some of the requests I would get for things to sort out, that they just didn't worry about the money side of it. But it was a great opportunity. And I met some fantastic crew, some fantastic people I'm still friends with now, who supply uniforms or, you know, whatever, plumbing, all sorts. It's the way I would describe it when people ask, well, how did you get to do that? If you imagine you own a hotel, and you know, in Salisbury, and you know where you buy your meat and have your laundry every week. Imagine you wake up tomorrow and that hotel's in Croatia, and you've still got the same things to the day-to-day running of it. So I became, basically, through working for a directory and working for an app, almost like TripAdvisor for super yachts, or dealing with suppliers who were, if you're on a boat, wherever you are in the world, I could probably solve your problem in 24 hours and at least have you in touch with the right person.
Wow.
I just love it.
Good to know. We're not sailors, but that's good to know.
Yeah, don't. I will never get on a boat again where I can't see dry land after that. I was always better offshore based. I'm getting on a ferry to France on Monday, and I'm bricking it because it's not the Dover to Calais run where you can at least see some cliffs. But it's when you're out there on a boat and something like that happens, you're thinking, I'm going to be in a life raft floating around the Atlantic. I'm thinking, Wilson. I'm thinking, like we'll be living off a block of Kendal mint cake for a week, trying to lasso a seagull that I might eat raw. It was a bit eye-opening. And when you're in trouble at sea, Christ, you don't feel vulnerable. So, so there you go. So that's yachting 101. Don't do it.
No,
or do it.
You're far braver than me. I don't even fancy just the
ferry to the Isle of Wight.
Ferry to the Isle of Wight. I'm like, it's a little bit dodgy.
Sea sickness is horrible as well. It's kind of like you dosed up on Dramamine. Remember when you were a kid on car journeys, your mum would give you joy rides if you got travel sick. Do you remember those little joy ride packs? They give you Dramamine when you're on a boat, which is like joy rides on steroids. And when you get off the boat, you're stood there and your legs are going like that for a couple of days. So that's why pirates and sailors always look drunk, basically, because the deck's always moving. It's nothing to do with the rum. Yeah.
Love it.
So there you go. That's yachting.
That is yachting.
That's
right.
Brilliant.
We're just going to have a little break. I think. Give me 1 second.
Okay. Fair enough.
And so we're back. You have a beer.
I've just cooked, so I've got people in the other room. So that's my glass of wine while I was chefing for them.
Fair play, fair play.
Yeah.
I'm a great cook, and I believe in a glass of wine whilst you're cooking.
Absolutely,
absolutely.
Yeah,
absolutely has to be. I was gonna go to that later, but seeing as you bring it up, Jimmer's dinners. Yeah, talk to us a little bit about this.
Lockdown is responsible for this.
Yeah.
I in between yachting, I had a friend called Sam Collins who owned a company called Food and Drink Guides, which was a series of 27 regional free restaurant guides you could pick up in like a major leading supermarket chain. I won't say which one because they're not paying you any sponsorship, so I'm not going to help them. And they can afford it. So anyway, I came back from Antigua, and I would be dealing with restaurants for their advertising and PR. And I got to meet chefs who are like now, like Tom Kerridge before he got to Great British Menu, and Heston Blumenthal used to write our forward, and Gary Rhodes, who's died now sadly, and Marcus Waring, and all sorts of amazing chefs. And the only time you can really speak to them about it, because it's quite high pressure what they do, is between about 8 and 11 in the morning while they've got their brigades in doing all the prep. The amount of prep that a restaurant does before they actually do that lunch service window behind the scenes is quite eye-opening. And I always like cooking programs. And when I was obviously in trouble, I did a catering course. And I've never been scared of cooking. And it's kind of like music. It's like you always know, G, D, C, D is going to go well together because it just works, as much as you know that salmon and beetroot works, or, just different like beef and truffle or whatever. So I was always interested in it. So from the PR and the restaurant guides thing, I did a couple of pop-ups for a friend's cafe that they run in Kent, in just outside of Deal. And when I came here, I was approached about it. I still had all the chefing whites with Ed Taylor. He's a uniform supplier. He gave me a couple of chef jackets with a logo with a lobster on it, because I'm always giving it that, and it just worked. And I came up with the idea of, I looked at Hard Rock Cafe. I went to eat at Hard Rock Cafe, and I thought, you know what, they do all these cocktails and all these things and the memorabilia and everything around it. I said, but there's so many dishes you could do with a play on song titles. So you could have like I love cock and roll, which is chicken ballotine, which you have to roll up obviously before you do it, or I would do venison for lunch, but I won't stew rat. We didn't start the fire, the all-day breakfast. And we just brainstormed this whole list of dishes and ideas. For those about to lock, we en croûte you, like salmon en croûte, And we had a night, and I know it's ridiculous, but it's quite heartwarming. People laugh at it, you know. Well, blackberry, rackalam, it's like it was just all sorts of these ideas. Because my head goes at 100 mile an hour, as you probably already gathered from So anyway, so a restaurant, I looked at hospitality and what we do as musicians and how we want to perform, but we also want them to make money, and I'm big on that, and because it's a tough gig. Pubs don't have to pay us to go and play. It's not our divine right, so we should at least make an effort with our social media. I know you get that, Alex, especially. So a couple of places I played, they've got kitchens, but they don't do food. And I just said, hey, could I come in and try doing a pop-up restaurant? I've got my basic food hygiene. No one's going to die, and they were like, yeah, for a Wednesday night when it's quiet and trade's tough. And I'll give them some kitchen rental, or they can make their money on the drinks and I make my margin on the food. And we did one at the SP bar in Andover for Valentine's. I'm going to do them once a quarter because it's quite a lot of work, but it's great that whilst it's quite a lot of work, you're not doing it 24/7. Like you know, when you run a pub,
Yeah.
it's very, very, very hard work and very time consuming. And at the moment, they don't really get a lot of support from, you know, if you think about it in lockdown and that, and obviously we're all struggling with cost of living and all the rest of it. It's a tough gig to be in at the moment. So for them to say, hey, do you want to come in and do like these Jimmers Dinners pop-ups? I was like, well, thank you, because it allows me to do it without the risk that they carry. They can make money off doing something different. I get to go and cook and meet new people. I get to come up with all these creative dish titles. And if I wasn't doing music, would I do chefing, those sort of hours and that? It's crazy what they do. It's a turbo environment to work in. But yeah, so, and I suppose that's kind of taken off. I'm going to France next week to film a pilot with a friend at his place in Normandy. It's called Chefs and Yachts and Rock and Roll, like sex and drugs and rock and roll, where he's going around yacht chef doing like TV segments for them. And so I'm going down to do one of those episodes with them, which will be good fun. But yeah,
That's
Wow.
incredible.
I'm not a chef, but I'm all right at it. But it's kind of, it's another creative output that if you're a creative person, that you know, and it keeps people happy, like music does if you're any good at playing it. You know, so that's
When
that's
can we
where
expect the next pop-up in Andover then, so we can come along?
I've been speaking to my friends Anne and Di at the Foresters about doing one there. But you guys, you're only, I mean, I'm in Abbott Sound. You guys are only down the road. Come over for dinner one night. You're always welcome.
We'd love
Bring the
that.
Oh, I
dog.
mean, definitely. That's an invite that we're not going to turn down.
You're always
I'm
welcome. We
thinking for the viewers.
run an open and friendly house here at Show Ponies HQ. So and we like having friends down for dinner because it's just a nice thing to do, isn't it?
We
But
will
you like
sort
cooking.
something out.
You like cooking, Ellen. You know what it's like. It's
Love it.
It's just nice when you cook for people, and you know, and they obviously, and just the socializing around it. And dinner parties at our age, it used to be, I mean, you guys are the same age as me. It used to be 20, 25 years old, running around some part of a city where your nose or dick have led you. And now these days, it is basically dinner parties are a more wholesome and civilized existence.
Well, they start off wholesome and civilized, but generally our dinner parties, and I'm pretty sure your dinner parties,
Get the tequila out,
don't end civilized.
I've never done a 3-day dinner party, but I mean, Christ, that'd be, God, could you imagine it? No, it's no, by about 11:30, 12 o'clock, it's like, right, if you're staying, you stay. Nothing, the other thing I've learned as I've got to this age is nothing really good happens after about 1 a.m. Anything that happens after 1 o'clock in the morning is the Antichrist, basically. So, as I've got to 45, and I'm lucky to still be here at 45, I've kind of realised, yeah, it's a good moral. Nothing good happens after 1 a.m.
Oh, I don't know. I'm not sure I agree with that.
Well, we'll see.
I don't
We'll
know.
see.
We've had
You
some
haven't been with
fabulous
me
ideas.
after 1 a.m, Ellen. Let's see how you feel about it.
Okay.
Anyway.
Anywho. So you mentioned about lockdown earlier on.
Yeah.
And how you kind of like went, oh, I'm going to pick up the guitar and I'm going to pick up, not pick up the piano, but
yeah.
There's a lovely picture of you for all of our
taken
viewers,
in
not
Andover.
listeners. Yeah,
That's my best side.
that's your best. So you've made sure you've moved your head to get the best side. I'm going to pop up another one now. I love that.
Bloody hell.
Piano.
So, yeah. When you're I don't know if you get this, Alex. When you, I've gone out with, I've had like relationships with people where if you go and watch a band at a pub, you always either want to post about them and help them or be involved with it. You get FOMO, don't you? Because we love it, and especially if you're like as highly strung as me. So anytime, it's really lovely when you go in a pub and they've got a piano, and it's very rare that you go in a pub and that piano is actually in tune. And there's this. I mean, I broke the lid of a piano on a pub. It was. That's another story. Anyway, so that picture was taken. I met some friends for lunch at the the Pig hotel chain, and they have this lovely grand piano. And I sat down to play it, and it was so horrifically out of tune. And you're like, it's like watching porn without the cum shot. You're like, oh, for fuck. You're like, oh, for God's sake. So yeah, so that was a couple of years back. But I during lockdown I bought one of those cheap 80 quid, almost like a Bond Tempe thing that you that you have as a kid, and it's down to theory. If you know root, third, fifth, you can very much work it out. And the thing, as a writer, it's certainly improved my level of musicianship and theory to work things out on the piano. But the weird thing about it is, obviously, as a guitarist, my left hand is pretty good. On a piano, it's like plonk, plonk, like just the root note, and it's this hand that is Liberace. This hand is, well, it's just not. So I haven't quite got left-hand arpeggios on the piano yet, but I love it. I really do enjoy writing a song on a piano, maybe more so than the guitar these days. I certainly find it easier to. And when you meet, I meet a lot of people who want to come and play at our festivals and that, who are singers with backing tracks, and I'm not disrespecting that. It's great that they get out and perform. But anyone who goes out and really wants to sing and perform and play their own stuff and maybe understand the music side of things more, I would always say pick up a piano before a guitar now, having thought about it, because it's a lot more educational in the way it's laid out for the understanding of music theory, as opposed to the way a guitar is in its dynamics and the way it's obviously designed. So I found it I wouldn't say I found it quite easy, but if you apply yourself to it, and it's the same with guitar, you'll go through that, that pain point for the first couple of months, but suddenly you'll sit and you'll be trying to play something, and you get through the playing through mistakes. And I would say to anyone as advice, if you are a singer and you go out and play to backing tracks, go out and get yourself just a 150 quid electric piano and learn some chords for songs, and you'll be hooked the second you're trying to learn something and you realize you can actually play along to it. And once you've got the bug for it, it will massively, it will just massively benefit being out and performing and your understanding of music in general. And it will also improve you. There's just a load of positive. I wish I'd done it sooner. I really do. So there you go.
So did you start using the piano when you wrote and then recorded your album, A Life on the Line, in 2022?
Yeah, I've never had a problem with writing songs. I've always sort of I've got enough influences, and I'll tell you a story about where that came from in a minute. But there's a couple of songs on there that are piano-driven songs. It's actually come down off Spotify at the moment.
It has. It
has. And I can't say why.
Oh, okay.
Yet, but it involves, because I've got a second album that I've already written. I mean, I've got about 140 songs in my locker that I've. But it's because of what's happening with that second one that it has to come down. So some legality things have to be sorted out.
That's fair enough. Well, what I will say,
it will be back up.
Before we start talking about it,
playlist, so thank you for that.
Yeah, no worries. Before we start talking about the album, there is a QR code there for people. If they want to scan that, they can listen to the album on Bandcamp.
I forgot it's still on that.
Yeah, it's still on there, mate. It's still
is
on.
That still allowable?
It's still.
Yes, it is actually. They can't do it.
That's
good. Yeah. Oh, thank you.
I had listened to it.
This is a podcast. I love this.
It used to be on it was on our Spotify playlist.
Yeah, I know.
So I listened to it there, and I've listened to it on Bandcamp. When you start to listen to it now, you've mentioned Bon Jovi earlier, and that kind of resonates with me a little bit now, especially as I've just watched the documentary as
It's
well,
really
which is just fantastic, absolutely brilliant. But the band that came to mind when I listened to your album was Primal Scream, and their album,
really?
yeah, which was Give Out But Don't Give Up. That album and yours, just the vibe, just the sound, it's brilliant. And honestly, the first two songs on it,
Life
on your album, was like bang. Yeah, absolutely fantastic. Really, really brilliant. So you wrote all of this within lockdown?
And afterwards. So when I came here, one studio and producer I would always recommend, I've got a lot of love for him, is Mark Burford. And Mark Burford, when I first met him, he's not just a great songwriter and musician. He will sit, and he's obviously had loads of time doing it with Echo Tape and all sorts of, and I would watch him and his knowledge around software and recording setups, and Andy, who also works with him, Andrew.
Yeah, love Andy.
Andy's a lovely guy, but I work more with Mark on my album.
Yeah,
but they both, you sit them in front of a Mac with Logic and plugins, or witchcraft happens. And when you write songs and you go in a studio, you can't be. I'm not one of those people who's precious about it and what sound I want to generate from it. It's a good song generally will stand up. A good song's written, it'll stand up with just one instrument and you vocally performing it. Usually. A lot of people go into a studio and they write on the cuff when they're in the studio. But I would go into Mark and I would play whatever I had as a guide track. And sometimes he'd throw a curveball at me and say, that's a dance record, that is. And the next thing you know, you've recorded like Mimosa Sunsets. And I never expected some Ibiza banger to be on an album. I didn't subscribe to that, but it is. And it was surprising, White Collars, all I had was, hang on, I've got a guitar. All I had when I went in there. Is it okay if I do that?
Yeah, please do.
All I had when I went in there was like a riff idea, which was hang on, let me do, oh shit, hang on, I'm moving the user's laptop here. Tech support. All I had was a riff idea around, I think I had the chords for Save Tonight, or something like that. And then I had that like, and you get that whole like pentatonic thing there. Something like that. And that's all I had as a riff. And he was like, that's a really cool riff, Jimmer. And we wrote the lyrics basically there and then in the studio for that. It was great because with Mark Burford, he's someone that if you want to go and record stuff, he's articulate and creative enough around the software and his capabilities as a musician, but he also he really understands the people he's working with and what they want to do with it. And he's someone who I think deserves massive credit for me putting out that bit of work, which I'm hugely proud of.
So you should be.
And I didn't really do it. I would always want to be like a Ryan Tedder character who writes songs for other people and makes a fortune from it. The guy with the best job in music is like the drummer in Coldplay, because no one knows your name. You can get up in the morning when you're hanging, go down the One Stop and buy bacon and like whatever, and you're not going to have paparazzi. And I've seen what people go through if they're obviously well known, you know.
Yeah.
You're not going to have them hanging around your house, and you got a couple of mil in the bank. You're all right, you know. Yeah. So anyway, so I always preferred the writing side of it. And Mark Burford, he's got a fantastic setup. He's a very good musician, and he's certainly, and that's why he's credited on it for writing and recording, because
Is that Sunrise Studios?
Yeah, Sunrise Sound Studios.
Yeah, it is. Dan Parkinson's another one. Now, I haven't done a lot of recording at Dan's. He's great. And Lewis Sellers, who has Golden Wave Studios down in Clapford. Between the three of them, it's great being here, because I moved here from Bristol, and there's more of a wealth of really good musicians and a really good community for us to be able to do, like, you know, music festivals, or for me to write and record. I can message Mark, I've got to come in and record this one, and he brings a lot of structure to things, a lot of creativity, and a lot of knowledge. And I couldn't be a big enough advocate of him. So there you go. So if you're going to go and record an album, he would be someone you should certainly look into.
Yeah. I mean, I can attest to that.
He's not paying me for that plug. I just do that because I just love the guy.
Oh no, I've got nothing but great things to say about Sunrise Sound Studio. My stepdaughter bought me a couple of hours in there, and I recorded.
Did you do your Eurovision one in there?
Yeah, Andy did it, literally in like a morning.
So that's the worst. That's it's so catchy, but I can remember when now I look at Eurovision with a combination of fascination and hatred. And when you did it, it's really good. It's really catchy. But I'd hate to see you on fucking Eurovision, Alex. Unless they're going to put you in a leotard or something, then it might be moderately amusing.
Hey, moderately. Oh my God, people would be changing the channels to like whatever it is. Yeah,
well, you've been in there. You know what it's like. So.
Absolutely, they're brilliant. They are absolutely fantastic. And I agree with. I've never met Mark, but I've listened to some of his stuff. As you said, Echo Tape as well, which are a fantastic band.
Andy's the same though. He's like a professor with all of the stuff that he does. Andy, it's different with Andy, because Andy's not a musician in the playing sense, but he, as a studio engineer and as a producer, and some of the stuff he's done is absolutely fantastic as well. And I know I wax lyrical about Mark a lot. Andy came up with on Life on a Line. You know that the first song, we first recorded that with Andy and had this really chugging guitar riff, and then he found this cool plugin for that. Beep 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 beep. You know, it's they just got different merits, you know. But it's a great place to go, and affordable.
Absolutely, 100% with it.
Yeah. So there you go.
So there you go. Okay, so moving on from what you've done to what you're kind of doing now, I guess.
Just in between,
You want to go to a break, do you?
Yeah.
Okay, we're going to go to a quick break. We'll only be 1 second. Here we go.
These messages from our sponsors.
After these, of which we have none.
Well, Ellen goes and has a wee, basically.
Oh, and we're back already. Look at that. So quick.
It's like
so let's move on. It's like we were never gone, exactly. I wanted to talk about what you're doing now. So you, as in these guys, the show ponies, and also everything else that you've got going on with regards to how you are
the Love Andover stuff and
Love Andover stuff. Yeah. So let's start with the show ponies. Talk to me about the show ponies. How did that come about?
Okay, so you do this. It's like when I first got here to supplement any income, I was just out playing acoustic on my own, and it gets quite tiring. You know, some days you're on form, and I obviously I find it hard to say no to things. So if someone says, "I'll come and play," you know, you go and do it, and then you'll be doing 3. Look at Ellen looking at you all full of scorn and vinegar.
That's because she looks at our calendar and basically it's just me, and she's like, "Oh, I'm going there now. Okay."
And then if you're going to go out with a musician, them's the breaks, kid.
Yeah, and then I married one, so you
Well,
know.
well, you only got yourself to blame.
I'm headlong in.
Yeah, so,
he called me a musician. I'm happy.
Yeah, well, that's the main thing, isn't it? But it gets quite tiring. And someone I met when I first got here was Marie Pontin from the Tipsy Gypsies, who was doing the
Andover Rocks.
She invited me to play Andover Rocks, and I looked at this was kind of the start of it. There are 5 people I met when I first moved here, like Ben, Mark Burford, Ben Tuffin from Andover Radio, Mark Burford.
Yep.
Marie Ponting would have had some sort of inspiration on the direction of where I'm at now with it. I think it's important to name these people.
Absolutely.
Ida and George from the Show Ponies and Pete Burden from Stonepig. So MJ used to do this Andover Rocks thing for 9 years, and she worked her ass off with it. And she invited me to do it. And then it was her birthday. And I sort of thought, Marie puts in all this effort for, like, who does something that's a bit of fun for her? So I went and because I came here and I didn't have a band. And I went and asked, like, some sort of, like, Yardbirds super group thing, or different people from, like, different bands. Like, I asked Dave Allen, and who's in Stonepig, and several things, and George Howarth. And basically what happened was we put together a Richie King drummer. We put together this little group, unrehearsed, and we just went in the Angel acoustically and did it for her birthday. And it was Pete Burden who came up with the name. He said to me, he said, "Cool, you're a right show pony, aren't you?" And you know, all right, fair enough. And then we looked at each other and went, "What a great name for a band." So and that's how it all came about. And I looked at all these other bands that are around here, and they're all great, and I'm not dissing it, but I've noticed it when you go out and you gig, to people who aren't musicians, they have sometimes a bit of a herd mentality, in that they'll say Sweet Caroline, or Mr. Brightside, or Sex on Fire, or Don't Look Back in Anger, or Wonderwall, or these. And it's fine. You obviously play what your audience wants, but everyone fucking asks for these songs, and it's like, and half the time I don't think they, other than the fact they can sing along with their mates on it, I don't think, when I look at a song, I sort of think, why do I like that song? What is it about it that hooks me in? What is it? Is it that I relate to the lyric at a point in my life, or is it, what is that? That for me is what songs are about, and I dissect them forensically because I probably think too much. But so we wanted to do this band, and all these bands that are out there, and they're playing electric and pub rock and all of that. I used to love MTV Unplugged when I was a kid, and VH1 Unplugged, and I'd watch like Roxette or Bon Jovi do it that evening with Bon, and it's fantastic, and do it acoustically. And I thought there's just as much energy to be had out of a band going out and playing in an MTV Unplugged sort of style. And then I also wanted it to be about covers that you don't see every band do, but they're still bangers. There's so many out there. There's just so much, you know, like if you did Rhythm is a Dancer, or Don't Call Me Baby, Madison Avenue, you know, really obscure like songs you wouldn't see a pub band do, you know. So we came up with the idea of doing MTV Unplugged, but doing it with just bangers, but also total curveballs. And music's one that it goes down so well. Chain, Fleetwood Mac, I mean, I've seen one other band do it, but you know, these are songs that people instantly know that are equally as good as your Mr. Brightside or your Sweet Caroline, which I hate that song. I don't know why I hate it. I just hate it. No offense, Neil Diamond, but you've written some other great songs. But Sweet Caroline, you should have sealed that in concrete and dumped it in the North Sea. I'm sorry, but anyway, bit of advice for Neil Diamond. Yeah. So we just wanted to do that, and that's how it all started. And George Howarth, our bass player, Gorgeous George as we call him, he's a phenomenal bass player. Jacques Joubert, who we have on drums or had on drums, he's got a load of other stuff going on. Dave Allen, Ida, who I met through George, who I'm not the best singer, but Ida could sing a phone book and make it sound great, you know, and harmonise. You can't polish a dog turd, but you can roll it in glitter. And when I perform with Ida on these songs where you can bounce off each other, it's brilliant. And it's an absolute pleasure. And she's my landlady now anyway. So yeah. And we just got a really great group of musicians together. And whilst I may earn a bit less through being out as part of a 4 or a 5 piece, it's certainly a lot more fun. And we didn't ever have a single rehearsal. We just hit the ground running and had this tightness between us that, I mean, I'm always the one who's, because they all have like proper jobs. I was always one who would be out booking gigs or that, but we're a really good team, and I'm really lucky to be involved in a band with, you know, when you're in a band where you're really proud of them and you're proud of it as a group and how good you are, and all of the different things, or your sound, or the choice of tunes, or how people are left entertained, or, you know, all of and your value for it. It's almost like when you're selling something you really believe in. Yeah. And it's certainly that, and Ben with Andover Radio and what he does community-wise have been two of the things that have massively shaped where I'm at now with festivals, or the Show Ponies thing, and it's just nice because, you know, everyone's in different bands, and it's, you know, I'm not trying to tread on anyone's toes doing that. If they've already got a booking in with whoever, that always takes precedence. That was always the case, but it's suddenly transpired that people have come and seen us and are starting to like tag us and recommend us on social media, you know, when someone looks for a wedding or a party band. Yeah. And the gigs are getting bigger. We're getting like race courses, we're getting boat shows, we're getting Christmas parties.
I was going to mention that.
Our asses off, so we deserve it, I guess.
Absolutely. I was going to mention you've got a really big gig coming up in, I think it's July.
Oh, the headliners.
The lights. Yeah.
Here's another guy I should actually name. Jake Ward. Jake Ward is, I always call him Mr. Andover, or the housewife's favourite. He's what he can do. He'll go out and sing to a backing track, but he'll do costume changes, and he's so engaging with an audience. And he's a lovely guy. And I went to them last year. I went to see Tracy, the manager at the Lights, and I said, after all the Andover things we've done now, and like Flack Manor Brewery and the Wincanton, I now feel in a position where, you know, there's a band in Andover called the Torn Off Strips, John Penfound and David and all those guys. They're a fantastic band. They are the benchmark of if you're going to go out and be a serious function band. And they can do the Lights and sell it out in like 2 hours, which is brilliant. You know, it's amazing. It didn't quite take us 2 hours. It took us more like 2 months. But, you know, Rome wasn't built in a day. So, yeah, I went to see Tracy and Jake, and I said, look, now that I've done this Andover Radio stuff and the Show Pony stuff, and I'm at a point where I feel that we could come in and have a go at doing a gig like this, because it's all a natural progression. You know, you don't just suddenly start. And if you're in my position when I first got here and you didn't have a band, you don't suddenly, you know, form a function band of session musicians and go out. You know, you kind of work your way up to it. So I went and saw them. They said, yeah, sure, absolutely. So they gave us a gig there in April, which we sold out, and we filmed that for showreel so I can go after the entertainment agencies for what we do, and bigger gigs. It's all about more gigs. It's all about less gigs for more money, basically. And then I said to Jake, I've had this idea about Jules Holland. Jules Holland, Later with Jules Holland.
Yep.
And it's always filmed in a studio in the round, isn't it?
Yeah.
And the Lights is really the only place. And I'd love to do this in Salisbury as well and speak to Colin about it, because I know Colin's like the Salisbury equivalent and more of almost of what I'm trying to sort of do here.
Yeah.
So anyway, we just thought it'd be a really good idea to film it like a TV show. All the bands set up in the round and the acoustic acts. Write a schedule for it, have hosts doing it, and film it, and maybe make it a 45-minute TV show that people pay to download, and the proceeds can go to Love Aid. So the people who ticket, this was an idea I had with it, was the people that ticket and come to see it. Obviously, that is split between all the bands and the Lights. And then afterwards, once we have this produced TV show, I thought, like we did the Band-Aid thing last year, it might be a really cool idea to almost sell it like a subscription link to it, where people can watch it and watch different local bands, and they pay maybe $9.99 for it, and all the proceeds go to Love Aid and the local causes we're raising for. That'll be the second part of it. That's the first time I've actually said about that idea to anyone. So that's going to go out. So that's what we're thinking of doing. So yeah, and we get to have fun, and it's creative. It's something different, It's and we're always trying to do something different that people enjoy, because we all go out and do pub gigs sorry if I'm talking a lot, by the way. We all go out and do pub gigs every weekend, but when we did the Band-Aid thing like last year, and it gets everyone together, and there's a lot of talent to get together, and someone's got to organise it, which I'm always like happy to do, because it's for a good cause and it's good for myself. All sorts of pros that come out of it, So the headliners one is going to be the biggest thing we've done with Andover Radio to date. There's some, honestly, guys, if you watch this, Chris Berntson's in Runaway Train, Marie, Tipsy Gypsies, John Penfound's in the Torn Off Strips. Lauren and Hardy are a lovely couple from Salisbury, who I've become good friends with, who are just very charming. John Walsh is old school blues and ragtime. He's like the master of fingerstyle guitar. No Way Out are a great function band. Tractors, Jake Ward's band. I mean, there's Paul Jude Wilson. He's like the white Barry White. His voice, you can hear it at the bottom of the ocean.
Insane.
We love Paul. And Helen Spooner, who she did this Kate Bush song at our Sunday sessions this week as a pianist. She is fantastic. Chris Bernson, again, he's got a voice that probably gets girls wetter than an otter's pocket. I mean, he's and it's just, they're just all great musicians, and they're all very talented people, and they all want to be involved in it, and it's just going to be something different. It's a big challenge. I haven't actually really sat down and thought about the marking out of who's going where and the writing the schedule of it, and it's ambitious, but at the end of the day, if you've got that many people around you're friends with, where you can do these things, have fun doing it and push it a bit, innit? So exactly.
And if people are interested and want to go to that, they can
buy your ticket. 15 quid.
There it is.
Quid. And if you want to donate to Love Aid, you got to donate a bit more, because we lose the vodka and tonic on it, the VAT.
So that will take you to the Lights website, directly to the headliners ticketing. So please, if you are interested in going to watch some of those amazing acts, please go and purchase your tickets via the QR code.
Hold on, I'm just going to take a picture so that I can get my... Right.
Alex, if you want to get up and do a song at it, I'm sure I can write you into the schedule.
You're too kind. You're too kind.
I'm not saying that genuinely. Why am I giving myself something to worry about?
I know. It's like, dude, I think you've got more than enough going on there. I can assure you.
Get up and do one of the songs and be involved.
We will come and we will support you and we will enjoy and we will promote.
Alex will get
Oh, whatever. I just want. I guess. I mean, we've been chatting. It's amazing. I just want to touch on the Andover scene quickly. I mean, it's getting bigger. It's getting better. You've got a lot of talent there, as you've just shown. Is there anybody that sort of? I don't want you to single anybody out. Yes, I do.
That was the question.
That is the question.
Literally the question.
Is there anybody out there you're kind of looking at and you're kind of going, that's the next person to look out for?
Oh, what? Who? Okay. Well, first off, before I answer that, there's for a music scene to. Colin highlighted this. So first off, it's like when you look, there's always got to be someone who puts it sort of together and takes the time to do it. So when I got here, the first person who really needs a shout out is Ben Tuffin from Andover Radio, who is a community station. It's not for profit. Ben and he'll never blow his own trumpet. And he's never asked me to blow it for him. Not that I would, because God knows where he's been. But he does a lot. And then MJ with what she did with Andover Rocks.
Yeah.
So in doing all of these Love Andover events, they're all about driving trade for hospitality businesses, getting musicians out there who are either established or working up to their first gig or whatever. But it's all about community, first and foremost. Then you get people like Anne at the Foresters, who doesn't have to put live music on every weekend, who very much looks after us. It's almost like what John Williams does with Music for Fun and Terry at Brown Street or whatever it's called now. What's it called now?
Root Giant.
Root Giant, yeah. And then the guys who do the blues jam at the Duck at Laverstock every month and getting people out. And I know there are sometimes a lot of the same people that go and play, but it keeps things, the venues. Yeah. So Anne at the Foresters, Yvonne at the Angel, Claire at the Anton Arms, a couple of pubs that came to me, the George at Vernon Dean that came, and really, but because of Ben, when I first got here and met him, I may have been in the same position now putting on these events, but it certainly, from the marketing of them and the reach that he's worked hard at with Love Andover and those sorts of things, it certainly helped promote them. So who out there, in answer to your question, who out there is really good where you watch them and you're like, there's two Graces. There's Gracie Shilton, who her voice is fantastic. She's 18, just. You've got the other Grace, who is playing for us for I just want to get her surname right because my mind's gone blank. Sorry, Grace. That's really rude of me. Grace Watts. So she's 16, 17 and going out, and her parents are really encouraging her to get out and play music. It's really heartwarming to see, My parents would be yelling upstairs, turn off that fucking guitar, whatever. And so when you get parents that are out supporting their kids and doing that, I feel a little tinge of jealousy. But yeah, she's really good. Who else is? We had a guy called Rob Clamp last year playing for us, who's now on his own tour. He's in Europe at the moment, dealing with a broken down van in Berlin.
He is
green by the sound of it, but he was amazing.
He was, because I had to follow him. Thanks very much for that.
No, you didn't.
At the Angel.
It was Will Leeson that followed him. You were after Will.
Oh, was it? Oh, okay.
Yeah. I remember these things, but yeah, he does things with a loop station that are great.
He's phenomenal.
But then I don't know who else is. I'm sure there's a girl called Chloe Farron who is she's a singer with a range that is insane, and she's self-taught. She's never had a lesson, but she can sing like Aguilera. It's nuts. And you know, these people you see on the X Factor, even though you say don't ever go on the X Factor, by the way, or whatever, but who just turn up and act like they have never sung before, but really they're some manufactured handpicked person they found from some management pool. Chloe is one of these girls who isn't in one of those management pools. She's a mum of one, and she's got an insane voice. But she never gets out and plays. What I've also realised about all of this is my mental health's been up and down over, just over as we all have. And now that there's more awareness of it, what I've come to realise is there's a lot of people out there who want to do what we do and are, they might get up and do a bit of karaoke now, and they don't, or whatever but they don't realise that they are actually at a really good performing standard, or they are, but no matter how much you tell them they are, they won't believe you because they've basically got some sort of imposter syndrome going on with it or not. So yeah, when you see certain people and you get them out and you get them up and playing, or when I used to do bandioki and you call random people up from a pub, and you would always end up with this occasional surprise of someone who's just really good, and it's just a pleasure to play and just have them singing. And that's really one of the big things we try and do with the Love Andover thing. It's kind of like we want everyone to be paid. We want the pubs to, do all right out of the day. We want to give people a chance. We don't want it all to be about, it's not the Jimmer show. I mean, I know I'm always playing on them, but sometimes it's just easier to do a half-hour slot. And I shouldn't have done one. Like when you played at the Angel last year, I was just knackered. And then, you run it all day, and then you put So I've learned from that.
That was a long day. It was a hot day as well.
Oh, it's red hot, wasn't it? Yeah. But it's all about giving people a chance to get out and play acoustically. And there's as far as I'm concerned, if you want to get out and play a gig, we pay everyone fairly. My door's always open to giving people a chance. So you might get the 2 till 3 or the 3 till 4 slot, but you'll still get like 50 quid for half hour, or 75 quid for an hour or whatever, which is a fair rate. You don't have to have a PA. And we just Gracie Shilton and Gracie Watts are very good.
We'll keep an eye out for those.
Will Leeson, who's a lad, he plays like fingerstyle guitar. He just obsessively plays guitar now, and he's become very good. And it's for all of us sort of more established, established. Now that I'm in the twilight years of my life, it's nice to play something. But yeah, it's great to see. And then it's great with the Salisbury live thing. Salisbury's a bit different, I've noticed, as a music scene to Andover, because it's kind of like Colin's someone I've got massive respect for, but when you guys do Salisbury live, what Colin's done is he's encountered a load more red tape around oh, hang on, my furry baby's here, go away. Sorry, the dog's just, that news thing where his daughter runs in the news.
Yeah.
Get rid of the dog.
No, put the dog on your lap. More viewers.
No, I'm not. No, I've wiped in a bit, but she's Anyway, so Colin, he's got a lot more red tape to deal with. Where if you want to close a road, you got to speak to the council, then the police, and then it's more people involved in it. And to do these things on a shoestring, because you can't. The pubs will always give us X amount to work with as a budget. But I'll go to local businesses because I've got, Ben's Help and Andover Radio, and we can get sponsorship, and it adds value that they're tagged in community projects, and they can pay a small amount of money, which goes into the kitty for the running of all of them. We don't make any money out of it, but but what it's done, I mean, the offshoot of it is that we do pick up a lot of show ponies gigs where people see us at these things, and all the word of mouth and that. And Colin's the same. He's kind of he's very much been a stalwart of the Salisbury music scene and pulling things together and getting, and that's what it's all about. And you as well, obviously, you've done that with playlists, and there's people who go out and play, and then there's people who will go out and play and then want to do other things as well. So it's something I enjoy doing it. Burns you out, but I do enjoy doing it. Definitely.
Well, if anyone wants to see what James and Love Andover have in store over the summer, you've got loads and loads of things going on.
Well,
so they can just follow on Facebook, and you'll be announcing them as they come.
Yeah, well, there's still, and I'll say this too, there obviously, I know you're going to play one or two of them.
Yep.
There's some where the lineups are done, some where they aren't still. So, and I'm sorry if I haven't replied to every message. I should say this, because when you put a post on Hampshire bands or whatever, you can guarantee your phone's just going to blow up. And there's a lot of people out there who want a gig. And whilst I may not be able to give all of your gigs this year, it's certainly something that there are people from last year that have messaged that can get them on this year. And it's, it's just working with the amount of slots we've got. But we still do have a couple of slots where headline bands will get 250, 300 quid to play an hour and a half. Acoustic acts will get 50, 75 quid. PA's already all there set up. Marketing exposure, you will get paid. The sound quality is good. We know what we're doing. And it's just about basically meeting more people and showing what difference musicians and music makes in a community into hospitality businesses. So there you go.
Absolutely. Brilliant. What you're doing is fantastic, James. Not just individually as your music and then the show ponies, but pulling a community together. Yourself and Love Andover is brilliant. And
thanks.
We love supporting.
Yeah,
and likewise, I was really buzzing when you got to ask me to come down to do the one on the 18th for you guys. And I've spoken to Colin a couple of times, and maybe next year we'll find a way. I'm looking at the moment at a way of us doing a 3-day camping festival where it focuses on the best of. I already know the site. It's just whether we can make the numbers work. And I already know, like, I can speak to Brian,
BSM.
He's a great guy. That's the other thing that you build, like the network of contacts. It's crazy, it's fantastic though. It's just like, so we're looking at an idea of whether we can get bands over a Friday, Saturday and a Sunday, or just a Friday, Saturday glamping. And maybe like covers bands, originals bands. How much are people prepared to pay for a ticket? It's a chicken and egg thing.
What sort of location are you thinking? Sort of somewhere in between Salisbury and Andover?
Sainsbury.
I think I know.
You know where I'm speaking with Will Grant at Stonehenge campsite. Because he invites us. We sort of have a little bit of a residency. He's a great guy, and he's got an amazing. Have you been there?
No, well, we actually drove past it. You played on the Saturday. We drove past on the Sunday because we went to the Boot Inn for food at the Boot Inn, which is I highly recommend everybody. Please go and check that out.
We're going again in a few weeks.
But it's
well, we do fest on the test.
Always do stuff like that. Yeah.
So it kind of, he's got this barn there with a stage in it, and Brian Mundy, who again, he's a legend. I got invited there last year when he did the Solstice Festival thing, and for me, it's like I messaged mates. He said, "Have we lost you to the Druids now?" Or so. So no, it's all right. But it's a great setup, and it's. But would it work where people? I suppose it is market research for the podcast. Would it work with people paying like 55, 60 quid for a weekend ticket amongst all the musicians and all their friends to go and do that and make it like an affordable Glastonbury? Or will people say, "Oh, sod off, Jim, I can watch them down the bloody Angel next week if I want to see Nick Gallman"? And you know, it's just one of those ideas that
it's an interesting idea, and you know that we'd be well on board with that regardless.
I know you would. I know you
Definitely
would. And again, what you guys do,
I sure.
Yeah, what you guys do with the podcast is fantastic as well.
Thank you, Mel. Thank you.
So, yeah.
Well, listen, it's been an absolute pleasure. Thank you so much for your time. You take it easy. We'll catch you later.
I'm sorry if I've spoken at a million miles an hour. I had my ADHD today. So, yeah. Anyway,
cheers,
all right,
dude.
cool. Thank you, guys. And also, by the way, on the 18th of May, or go out and support the whole Salisbury Live and Salisbury Sounds that's going on through all of May. There's so many good events and so many good bands in Salisbury that are playing. And if you see Colin Holton, don't be cheap, buy him a drink. He puts a lot of hard work into it. All right. And get out and support all the bands. And thank you to Alex and Ellen as well. Thanks, guys.
Cheers, bro. Thank you. You caught me doing a little bit of air drumming there, because I like that little bit. It works, people. It does work. Yeah, I like it. It's not as good as air guitar, obviously, but there we go. So that was James.
Yes, amazing. He's such a funny guy.
Love him to bits. What you see is what you get with James, and you know he's just a very, very talented, very, very talented musician. Knows so much. You know, he's just had a great sort of like life experience stuff, and he just brings that to the table all the time. And you know, if he's not swearing when he's talking to you, I don't think he likes you. It's that way, you know. So and we love it. All of that's obviously just James, and he cracks us up some big time.
I can't wait to go around there for dinner.
Hell yeah,
definitely, James.
On. Cannot wait. So they've got loads and loads of stuff coming up in and around Andover. So please check out the socials. So we'll obviously be sharing anything that they put out, but generally on the Love Andover Facebook page, they put stuff out. But yeah, you can also find it on ours at the Sounds of Salisbury down there. Just search for that little bit there on Facebook. Give us a follow. We're doing all right with followers, I think.
Yeah.
Not too shabby. So yeah, give us a follow. You'll find out about all the things that are going on Andover, Salisbury, and somewhere in between as well. And I think that's kind of it, isn't it? Really?
Yep. I hope you enjoyed that episode. Do tune in for all future episodes. And can we go get a dirty burger now, please?
We are off to get
I need food.
A dirty burger and some. You mentioned chicken nuggets as well. So who knew that was a hangover cure? I certainly didn't. So, but yes, take it easy, and we'll see you again next time.
Bye.